Hey folks, it's Rob from Rob's Movie Collection, and welcome to part 2 of my haul video here. A couple more movies here that I got, more than a couple. So let's get started. There is one more Book Off movie, which Book Off is the used book and movie store I go to. One more that I found that I didn't show last time, but I definitely wanted to show it because this is something I've been looking for a long time, and here it is. The Seven Little Foys with Bob Hope. It's cost $9 for a used. Yeah, that's what I was talking about in the last video. For a used one that's a little bit, and one that's not in the greatest condition either. It's got a little bit of a thing up here. But Seven Little Foys is really hard to find. I mean, even on Amazon, it's hard to find. It's one of Bob Hope's rare dramatic turns. It's not a complete drama. It does have some humor to it. It's more like a dramedy. But yeah, he gets serious in this one. And it's about real-life vaudevillian Eddie Foy. And his story, I probably somewhat fictionalized. I don't know a lot about the actual man. But I remember watching this a lot on Channel 5 when I was a kid. I live in Hollywood. And his wife passes away, and then he takes his whole troop of kids on the road with him. To keep them as a father, and be a good father to them. It has a cameo by James Cagney playing the role that he played in Yankee Doodle Dandy. Let's see, what's his name again? Cohen. Yeah. George Cohen. So he reprises the role that the same character that he played in Yankee Doodle Dandy for a scene where they kind of dance together. So. And that's really cool. But I always remember this film, and I've got a lot of Bob Hope films because I'm a huge Bob Hope fan, and this is one that always eluded me. So to come across it was great, and the disc is in pretty good condition. And if I ever find a brand new, spanking new one, I'll definitely get that. But for the time being, this is great. I love having it. Okay, so now this one I believe I might have got from the $1.25 store. Trumbo, it's about this guy who was blacklisted, this famous screenwriter. I want to say Douglas Trumbo, but I don't think it's Douglas Trumbo. That's Dalton Trumbo. I always say Douglas because I'm referring to the special effects guy. But this guy was blacklisted in Hollywood during that whole time in the 50s or 60s where it was the Red Menace and all that stuff. So I've always heard it's pretty good. And Bryan Cranston is a really good actor. So let's see. Next up. We got this off of Amazon, Star Trek Lower Decks. I've heard a lot of hate about this show on YouTube and people criticizing it. A lot of people criticizing most of the new Star Trek series, and I agree with most of them. Picard, Discovery, terrible, agenda-filled garbage. But I've seen a lot of clips of this show on YouTube, and I found the humor to be funny. I don't think everything has to be that sacred. I think this is fine. I think they spoof the series, and I think they do it in a funny way. I don't think it's mean necessarily. They even have a lot of the actors from the show, like Jonathan Frakes, do the guest star as their voices and the characters. I liked it. I don't know. I laughed several times when I would watch it, and I thought it was good. So I was fine with it. Sometimes I get tired of being grumpy old guy who hates everything, when you're pushing 60, you got to be careful because you may end up in 10 years just to be this grumpy guy that hates everything, and you just can't be that way because Doctor Who. I love Doctor Who, and I want to collect all the different Doctors. I mostly have the new stuff, the when the series began again. But I've been slowly trying to get the older ones. I've got a lot of Tom Baker stuff because he's my favorite and he was my first Doctor Who. But I came across this one. I'm not even sure where. Maybe Barnes and Noble. But this is the first guy, the first William Hartnell, and this guy will always be for me the first Doctor. And there's a reason why I didn't watch the latest series. I began to watch it and then I as I was waiting for stuff to come out, I got distracted. I heard about this big retcon they did where they changed his origin all for ideology's sake, and that was just garbage. So that's where my collection ended, pretty much with Peter Capaldi. This guy will always be the first Doctor for me, and nothing will ever change that. And I guess these are the first couple of stories. Yeah, The Unearthly Child. So there's that. Let's see what else here. One of my favorite series, maybe my favorite series from the 70s, The $6 Million Man. This is season 3. I've been slowly collecting these. Oh my god, this was such a big show for me. Huge. And Lee Majors was quite the hero. And he was so cool. And this one actually has Bigfoot in it. Yeah. He was so cool. And he was even cooler because he was married to Farrah Fawcett too, which we all adored. Who we all adored. So little by little I'm getting all these seasons. Yeah. Let's see. Next up. Oh, speaking of Doctor Who, we should continue in that vein. I got this one. I was looking at Amazon one day, and these discs, these are these thick discs that got a lot of these on there, these Blu-rays, which normally are like in what, 50s or 60s, and they were selling them for like $20 or something. I was like, wow, and it only lasted for a couple of days. So I grabbed a couple of them. I love Sylvester McCoy. Doctor Who in the States is obviously not as big as it is in Europe, and it has gotten bigger here, but that's only been recently with the more modern series. But in the 70s and 80s, we would see it on PBS, the PBS station, and they would show it Saturday mornings. And you'd watch cartoons and you'd be flipping channels, and suddenly you'd come across this weird show that looked, was on video, and there'd be these weird monsters and this guy running around, and for me it was Tom Baker, the first guy I saw, and it was Tom Baker running around, and he was weird, and he had this box, and you're like, what is this? It looks like a cheap show like Land of the Lost or something, but you couldn't help but watch it, and you'd see it for a couple of weeks, and then it would be gone, and then like a month or two would go by, and then there it was again. And you only kind of recognized it because of the look of it, and oh, there's that blue box again. But suddenly, there was another guy, and where's the guy with the curly hair and the big nose that I saw before? Oh no, there's this guy with white hair, and it turned out to be John Pertwee. And then it would go away again, and then suddenly this guy would appear, and like, okay, and then you'd start to get the thread of it, like they keep calling him Doctor. So I did watch a little bit of Sylvester McCoy. I completely skipped over Peter Davison and Colin Baker. I just never really saw them at the time till later, but I did see a lot of Sylvester McCoy, and I liked him in Ace and all that stuff. So it's nice to get these. The only thing that's kind of perplexing to me, and I don't know, maybe you guys in Europe can tell me, and especially Ian, who my friend Ian in England, who has shown a lot of these on his channel. I don't know if this is true for you guys or not. And here's another one. Here's that was season 1, and here's season 3. But over here, they seem to be releasing them kind of randomly. Like that was season 1, and here's season 3, but they don't have season 2 available. And I'm kind of like that. I like to get things in order. And that's the way it is with all these guys. The Tom Baker ones, I've got a couple of Tom Baker ones like this, and the Peter Davison ones, and they're all like random like that. They'll release one season, and then they'll skip one, and then they'll release another one, and I don't know what the deal is with that, but it's a little frustrating, because there's a lot of these that I haven't watched, and I would like to actually watch them in order, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And then, let's see, most of you know about the Criterion sales at Barnes & Noble. Let's see, so I'm going to show you one of those. Blast of Silence. This I got for Christmas. This is thanks to my friends Robin Carroll. Thank you very much. they know that my, as I've mentioned many times, my film noir section is pitifully small, and I'm trying to build that up a little more. I probably have a lot more film noir than I realize, because I don't know that they're film noir, because I'm so uneducated about film noir. But they contributed to my film noir section with this Criterion film, which I've never heard of, but I'm looking forward to watching if I can ever get all this stuff in order. And it's called Blast of Silence, so thank you very much. I will definitely add that to my little section there. And now at Barnes & Noble, along with the 50% Criterion sales, there are also a little section of films from Arrow. And those Arrow films are normally pretty pricey, so it's nice when you've got some on sale. Not a lot of them, but and a lot of them are 4K, which doesn't interest me. But when I found a couple here, Major Dundee with Charlton Heston. I think it turns out I might actually have this on DVD somewhere too. But well, came across this. That's what I don't like about the Arrows and the Criterions. They don't have any shots in the back. It's just that. But yeah, I like Charlton Heston. I like him a lot. He's one of the old movie stars. And then I got this weird one called Basket Case. Now, if you don't know about Basket Case, and I'm no expert, the only thing that kind of prompted me to get it is just seeing clips of it on YouTube. You know what? Just look it up. Just go to YouTube, put Basket Case, and you'll see how bizarre and weird this horror movie is, and the reason that I think it's more of a laugh than a scare, but it's just hilarious. And I think there's like 3 of them. So I hesitated about whether to buy this or not, because I kind of want all 3, and I thought maybe there's a collection. And I think there is a collection, but it's pretty pricey, so I figured I would just start out with this one. And it is a special edition type of thing when it's an Arrow thing. It's got all this stuff in the back. So if I ever do end up getting the collection one, I still have a bigger special edition of this. So, but this movie, from what I've seen, it's just hilarious. It's just, oh my gosh. And I got this, Secrets of Dumbledore. I think this is the last Fantastic Beasts movie that came out. Unfortunately, it looks like they're not going to make any more. I've heard that this is not the best one. I got it really cheap. And I was sad to hear that Johnny Depp wasn't going to continue to be the villain in this one because of the whole trial thing he went through, and I thought that was pretty unfair. Definitely not going to watch any Pirates movies without him. But since it was cheap, I'm not as much of a completist as I used to be. I used to just want to complete stuff, and I would just, even if I didn't like it that much, or I would just find something about the film that I would like, a special effect or something or whatever, dinosaurs. And I don't do that as much now, but with this one I figured, well, it was cheap and I'll buy it. I haven't even really seen it. I haven't really watched it, so I'll have to check it out someday. Not in a hurry. But this, I believe, at Barnes & Noble, Cabin Boy. This is this weird little film with Chris Elliott. And I'm not a huge fan of Chris Elliott, but I remember when this came out. It's one of those films that came out and bombed, but it's become a cult classic type thing. And it's got its weirdness, but it's got some animation in it, so it's a little Tim Burton-y type thing, and I thought, yeah, not bad. Get that, see what it's all about. Now here's one that I really looked forward to getting. I was glad I got it. Sword and the Sorcerer, right there. This is one of the sword and sorcery movies from the 80s. The 80s had a big surge of sword and sorcerer movies, and this is one of the rated R ones with Lee Horsley, the guy that played Matt Houston. And this guy here is Richard Mall. That's Bull from Night Court. And this guy, Richard Lynch, he was a great character actor. He played a lot of villain roles, a lot on TV and movies and stuff. So I always liked seeing Richard Lynch. This movie has one of the most unique and awkward swords I've ever seen. It's this 3-bladed sword, and the outer 2 blades shoot out like projectiles. It's just, it is so bizarre. It's at the same time cool and at the same time weird and awkward. How could you fight with that thing? But I've always wondered, I've always been curious to see if anybody on YouTube, any of the tutorial guys that make weapons and stuff with foam and all that would make one of these. I've made suggestions in some of their comments. Hey, make this sword. See if you could do that, but nobody's done it so far. So 4K Ultra Blu-ray. I hope the Blu-ray is. Yeah, I hope this doesn't mean that I can't play it on my Blu-ray player. HD. I know I can't play that, but I don't care. As long as I got a Blu-ray, that's fine. Because I didn't have this on disc at all. I think I have this on a VHS tape, but that's about it. No disc yet. I also got Spider-Man: No Way Home. Marvel. What can you say about them right now? But this one's got definitely a lot of nostalgia to it, and that's actually probably the reason that it succeeded so much. It's got some good moments, but I think it's probably the last Marvel superhero movie I've bought and will buy. I don't think there's anything really else that I'd be interested in getting. And even this I only got because it was cheap. Seems to be the common thread in my collecting life these days. It's cheap, so I'll get it. Here's one of these Vestron videos of Earth Girls Are Easy. Nice cover, huh? I like that new one they made there. This is Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum. I think they met on this and they started dating after this. But also co-starring a very young Jim Carrey and Damon Wayans and Julie Brown. This is kind of it's a comedy for sure, but also sometimes a little bit of a musical, not a traditional musical, but it's pretty funny and weird. It's got an interesting look to it. This is when Jeff Goldblum got all hunky. I remember Jeff Goldblum from 10 Speed and Brown Shoe, this TV show from the 70s, and he was just this skinny, awkward-looking guy. And then they started to make him all hunky here. And then, of course, in The Fly, he got all bulked up, and he was, Mr. Stud, who turns into an insect. But this is a fun movie. Yeah, I like it. She sings a song, like a video in the middle of the movie called "'Cause I'm a Blonde" or something like that. It's really funny. So if you haven't seen that one, definitely check that out. Ultraman. This is a Japanese TV show. Those of you who are kaiju fans probably know Ultraman. When I was a kid living in Hollywood, we had a channel called Channel 52, and they used to show Ultraman among many other Japanese shows, like Johnny Sokko and his flying robot. But Ultraman, and this is I hope, the original Ultraman. Apparently there's been a whole bunch of other series and up there, and I guess this actually says series too, and which I'm not familiar with all those other ones, but this is the one that I remember when I was a kid, and yeah, it's an interesting show. It's got a lot of the big monsters and stuff, monsters of the week. Here's another arrow for Waterworld. Waterworld is one of the notoriously it's a notorious film because it bombed, and not because it's not a good film. It was unfairly compared to the Mad Max movies. It's like Mad Max on water, but it's just that it had a trouble production, and it just cost a lot of money, and just was not able to make back its budget, or maybe it did make the budget, but it just didn't make enough of a profit. So it's considered a bomb, but it got a lot of unfair criticism. I think it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. Costner plays the mariner, and he's got this really cool boat that the way he works and the way they film it is really cool. And of course, you got this guy as the villain, Dennis Hopper. So, and he's really good and cheesy, and the way he does his villain roles over the top. And I enjoyed this movie, so I thought it was worth getting this special edition. How to Be a Latin Lover. I recently saw this movie. I saw bits of it on TV, and it was pretty funny. So I got it off of Amazon, and I like it. It's a very funny movie. It's nothing different or new. Pretty formulaic, but everybody's pretty good in it. Selma Hayek's in it, so really for me, that's all you got to say. Selma Hayek is in it, and yeah, I'll get it. Let's see. Master of the Flying Guillotine, the 2-disc anniversary deluxe edition. This is one of the ones, I think I've talked about this before, again, when I grew up in Hollywood. Back before there were a billion channels and no streaming services, young folks, We just had a limited number of channels, but man, they showed a lot of good stuff. And one of the channels, I think it was Channel 13, showed these kung fu movies. 13 showed kung fu movies. They showed the black exploitation films. Channel 5 would show giant monster movies. And one of the ones that I would see a lot, and they showed a lot of commercials for, was Master of the Flying Guillotine. They had this weird thing that looked more like a hat, but it was a guillotine. And yeah, I just it occurred to me one day, that's another section of my collection that is pitifully low, is my kung fu movie section, which at this point is still more like mostly Jackie Chan and some Bruce Lee. But this is one that I definitely remember, and oh yeah, this was a lot of fun. So I was glad to get that, and then a I didn't expect it to be a 2-disc special edition, so that was good. And then finally for this one, I got this Blu-ray of The Magnificent Seven. I actually already have a special edition of The Magnificent Seven, but this was $10 at Big Lots, and it's got several of the all of them. Magnificent Seven, Return of the Magnificent Seven, Guns of the Magnificent Seven, and the Magnificent Seven Ride. The quality gets less and less as you go on, and I think Yul Brynner only did the first one. And then, or maybe the second one as well. Let's see. Yeah, he's in the second one. And then after that, it becomes other guys. But yeah, I thought that was pretty good for his classics, and got them on Blu-ray, which again doesn't matter that much to me. But still, for $10, I thought it was pretty good. Big Lots, at least my Big Lots, are getting very thin when it comes to movies, and in fact, a lot of our locations are going out of business. So. That's what's kind of sad. So I think they're kind of snapping stuff up. So there's Earth Girls Are Easy. I really like that cover. That's what I like about these special editions, that they'll do these special covers and stuff. Okay, so that is it. That's it for part 2. I have one more, which is mostly, I believe, books that I've gotten recently. That is not my normal thing, but why not? I'll show it to you guys. Okay, so that's it. And until the next one, for part 3, I will see you guys next time, and keep watching those movies. Bye.